Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. Today we're going to be talking about Tom Clancy's The Division 2. I am trying to do this short editorial to ask a question about what the plan is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know I have predicted multiple different approaches to how Massive is going to wind down the Division 2 and talk about the Division 3 and or maybe, I don't know, announce it or whatever. I see comments from naysayers. I see comments from people who say Massive is not going to bring out a Division 3 game or whatever it is, and I only have numbers that are on my side. Sales for the Division 2, regardless of people's feelings or how people consider the game to have been treated, are sales that are going to inspire the company to be probably looking for how to make a percentage of those sales numbers. And I'm talking somewhere around 600 million or so plus dollars from the Division 2, a game that they already made quite a lot more money than that, twice more, or even maybe almost 3 times more from the very first game. And they spent very minimal amounts of money in its production of the second game. So they made a huge profit from the Division 2, whether whether you consider the game to have been successful or not. And I see them trying to replicate, at least, if nothing, the very first process in order for them to be able to leverage even more or about similar profit margins from the Division 2, or better yet, the Division 1. And this brings me to what I want to talk about today, which is the reason that they're unlocking the frame rates for consoles. A lot of console players have said, well, they're unlocking the frame rates. Well, what are we going to do with it? And I thought, that's actually a really good question. First of all, there are multiple player types in the Division. People who are just still playing the game. But then there are also people who have taken a break to go play other games. And the only reason they'll come back to the Division 2 right now is that there is content to play, which leaves the question, where is the content? And so I guess that question must be asked, and Massive needs to at least come out and, share some measure of the plan. And I think we're most likely going to have something like that in a bit, maybe like that February release of the project codename Nightmare. Maybe around that season or March, they'll do an announcement. They did the announcement for the Division 2 somewhere around the March-April timeline. So if you're going to be getting an announcement for the Division 3, it's most likely going to be around that time. The question, though, is in between that time, is there going to be a year 3 content? And with the unlocking of the frame rates, maybe it is more likely than it was a few weeks ago that we might be having some more content to play. And I've said this before, that it's something really critical that they need to do in order for them to be able to get in the good graces of the community, and in order for them to be able to show that they do have the propensity to at least give something if they expect anything in return. Now, for some of you, you're not going to buy the Division 3. I get it. This video is most likely not for you. You can just shut the video off. It's perfectly fine. But for those of us who are Division fans, who play the Division quite, frequently, our communication with the development team is that we need some content at this moment in time, especially if they're going to be enhancing the game for the current new generation of consoles that are already out in the market. And hopefully somewhere around February, many of us might be able to get our hands on one, because apparently it's quite ridiculous to even get one these days, because scalpers think that they're smarter than the market. They don't understand that, demand drives supply, and very soon Sony or Microsoft is going to have to find a way to get more money out of the demand that this game or these new consoles are actually, inspiring. So the scalpers are most likely going to be left with just selling the games for the regular price at which they bought it. And God help them that the games don't start getting, a reduction in price or start to flood the used market. At that point, they're going to really have to do some hard work, even though they've made a lot of money. But, I guess I don't want to be the guy who says that, they made the money illegitimately when they actually somewhat kind of did. So legal, maybe. Ethical, heck no. That is an unethical way to go about something of that nature. But like I said, with a little patience, those of us who are much more patient at, technology, just waiting for prices to drop, we're the ones that are going to reap that reward, and the scalpers are going to go home with a big L. And I think the Division developers need to leverage this new idea, this new take on letting players enjoy the game at better frame rates, and they need to drop a year 3 package. Now, I don't know what this package will consist of. I think, as the community is actually going on right now, that a year 3 package will have to be something that's narrative driven, and perhaps something that really does tie into the codename Nightmare, and something that narratively leads to the Division 3. They don't need to close the loop, they need to open the loop like they did with the Division 1. Many people most likely missed out that the Division 1 actually already hinted that we were going to Washington, D.C. I've made videos regarding this. In fact, I think I was the only one to predict that we were going to have the Division 2 in Washington, D.C. out in the open anyways. Maybe other people predicted it. I didn't see anybody else. But I made a video and staked my reputation on it, saying that I thought that the Division 2 was going to be in Washington, D.C. before they even showcased the location. And it wasn't based on rocket science. It was based on the incursion, the first incursion Falcon lost, my favorite incursion of all time, where Agent Fei Lao says, now I have to check on what's happened to the President of the United States. That alone basically helped me to just, draw the threads to say, okay, we're most likely going to be having this game in Washington, D.C. And I think whatever content that they're going to be bringing needs to be able to leave that cliffhanger, allow for player interaction and a lot of play time. Don't get me wrong, I'm talking maybe another 30 to 40 hour or 60 or 100 hour based content, more gear, more loot, more brand sets that will go and complement this, even a few more seasons just to kind of extend the calendar. But there needs to be an open-ended dialogue or an open-ended sequence or an open-ended instance that tells us where this game is going next. But this is basically my little short dialogue regarding this question. I would hope the developers will be paying attention to the community asking this and actually respond in due time, because yes, there is Cyberpunk that's going to be here, but trust me, until Cyberpunk's multiplayer comes out, it's going to be just that single player experience that some of the hardcore grinders are going to knock out their 3 to 5 to 700 hours in no time, and then we're going to be looking for something to actually get back into. And we know, even though you may have just a few 100 hours in the Division, it's a few hundred hours of multiple experiences with patches, updates, gear changes, those things that make the game really feel different whenever they implement them well. Keynote, whenever they implement them well, not like when they nerf things just unnecessarily. But I'll leave you guys to go ahead and comment on this video. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think this means that content's going to come? Do you think this means that they need to bring content? Or do you think they're just going to leave this as is, bring more seasons, wind down the game by the end of maybe the summer, and then we're going to, at that point, hear of a Division 3 game? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you very much for your time and audience. Hopefully we'll see in another video. Peace.